Howdy, Possum Patty here. It is September 13th and I am nature journaling. I'm going to do a little experiment today. I'm going to try to chat and paint at the same time. I'm going to paint two different things I saw on my walk today. And that's some beautiful red maple fall leaves and a very large mushroom. And I'm going to try it with these Inktense pencils. They are like watercolor pencils, but they have an ink inside of them, and they're by Derwent, and you can get some really nice colors. And I had taken them out of this tin, and what I discovered was most of all the colors are red and green and browns. I have the original 12 colors, plus I've added some more greens and reds. Apparently, not too many blues, mostly greens and reds. I made a little chart here so you can see how they work. All right, got my brush. I did a little color swatch here. And this is apple green, mallard green. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Love that color. Leaf green, you know I have to have a leaf green. Fern green. Felt green. Teal green. Madder brown, it's like a reddish brown. Orange. Yellow. Mid vermilion. Sienna gold, cherry red, Payne's gray, hot red, that's bright, crimson, poppy red, a little bit more orange. Some of these pencils, the names have worn off, and this is some kind of brown earth. Iris blue, green aquamarine, isn't that pretty? And deep indigo. All right, these are some of the colors I'm going to use. I know that's way too many pencils to use, but I'm just going to put them there and looking at my chart decide what I want to do. And I think, see, this one was mostly red with a little green, and this one was mostly green, and this one was green and red. So let's start with this one, which kind of has a paler red and a brighter red. And you can, it's almost like a cherry or a hot pink. I mean, it's almost like a cherry or a hot red. So let me get the cherry and the hot red. That's a crimson. I might not use that one. Okay, I'm going to start with, well, maybe a little bit of poppy red, a little bit of cherry red, and a little bit of hot red. And this leaf is going to be mostly red, and this one a little bit red, and this one mostly green. Had something very strange happen. We had gone somewhere and it was raining out, and we pulled into a parking lot, and in the field next to the parking lot I saw a flock of birds. Because you know how birds like to flock up during this time of year and spend the winter together, feeding together. And I looked out over the field as we were sitting in the car. Now, you have to remember, this is through the windshield in the pouring rain, so I don't have a very good picture. But I did notice something very strange. There was a white-headed bird among all the brown ones. And my husband said, look, there's a dwarf bald eagle. Because, you know, bald eagles got their name because they have a white head. And this was a little brown bird with a white head. And I had never seen a brown bird with a white head before. So I watched them for a while, and I tried to get a video with my phone, but my phone doesn't take very good pictures from far away. It doesn't have a good telephoto lens on it, but I did the best I could. And then a few of the birds came over to drink out of the puddle next to the car, and they looked like sparrows, some kind of sparrow. I don't know if they were song sparrows, but they definitely look like sparrows. And then I went to look at the white-headed one again, tried to get another picture, and I think another car must have pulled into the parking lot because then they all flew away. Now, I insist it was a sparrow with a white head. And my husband insists that it was a dwarf bald eagle. Now, I know it wasn't a bald eagle. But it sure was a funny sight to see. Another thing that I was wondering about were the squirrels. I went out one day and counted 9 squirrels at the bird feeders. 9. My husband counted 10, but I only saw 9. And then one day, there were 0 squirrels at the bird feeder. 0. No squirrels at all. And I wonder where they went to. I also didn't see my little bunny that I see around the yard every day. So we had 0 squirrels and no bunny, my little white-tailed bunny. It was just the strangest thing. They were there all the time, and now they were gone. So I wonder where they went. I have no idea. But when you nature journal, it's good to have as many questions as you do answers. I usually have more questions than I do answers. I try to answer my questions, but I don't always. And another strange thing was that after all the squirrels disappeared, we had a plague of baby toads. Now, we hadn't had any rain in a while, and I was going outside in the evening to water some of the plants that I had just planted. And everywhere I stepped and started to water, there was a baby toad. I must have seen at least 10 of them. So the next evening when I went out, I grabbed my camera and I put it in my pocket, my little camera. and I tried to get a picture of one of the baby toads. I found one. I took a quick picture of one of them. But you can believe me that everywhere I was stepping, there were these baby toads all over the yard. And it was just strange that the squirrels disappeared and the toads appeared. And I hadn't seen the bunny for a while. Today, when I went to get the mail, I took a little shortcut through the woods because the ferns are kind of laying down on the ground more than they were, and I can almost see where I'm walking, so I feel like it's a little safer than it has been. Well, you can almost see where you're walking here, because the ferns are slowly dying off. There's a lot of dead wood down. I'll have to come in the winter and pick it up. I was filming as I was walking along. And then this orange mushroom just caught my eye. I looked up this mushroom when I came inside, and I discovered that it was a russula mushroom. And I guess there's several different varieties, just like the bolete that I had found on the 11th. And it was a very bright orange. It was very pretty. I'll color that one in a minute. I'm going to be writing some of this stuff down after I'm done painting here. And this one's nickname was the sickener. And apparently in some places in the world, people eat this because they say you only get sick if you eat it raw. But if you cook it a certain way, you're not going to get sick. But I don't think I'd trust a mushroom that people call the sickener. And another name for this mushroom is the vomiting russula. And again, I'm not going to eat anything that's called the vomiting russula. Maybe I'll put some yellow in this one. So that's what I saw cutting through the woods. When I was up the lane towards the mailbox, I saw another crescent butterfly. This one landed on the sand in the road right in front of me. An interesting thing about the crescent butterflies are that there's many variations among individuals. So they're kind of like people. They don't all have the same exact markings. And you could see the difference between this one and the one that I saw the other day. It's quite a difference in markings. I have to go back and give this a second coat. And this little black line here was a leaf miner, and it left a black trail across the leaf. I thought that was so funny, I added that on. So I'll probably go over and give these a couple of coats. And then I'm going to write my questions and my discoveries on the page. And I've been talking about the jewel weeds and how when their seeds are ready, they explode to the touch. Another name for the jewel weed is touch-me-not. And that doesn't have to do with the leaves or the flower. It has to do with the seed case. And it's kind of made on a spring. And when you put some pressure on it, it just goes pop, and the seeds go flying. It's a very fun thing to do with kids in the fall when you take a walk. So if you discover some of these jewel weeds, look for these little seed cases and have some fun. I'm going to play that again, only this time I'm going to play it in slow motion so you can see the little seeds popping out. Where'd my brown go? When you use watercolor pencils or these Inktense pencils, you should start off lightly, because you can always go over areas and get darker, but you can't get lighter. So you have to have a light hand during the first go round. And sometimes I'm a little too heavy-handed, but all right, so I just put on some of this tangerine, I think it is. It's orange. And I'm gonna put a little darker color here. I don't know if you call this mushroom red or orange or orangey red. Sometimes you want to make the lines go in the direction of the texture of the mushroom. It's really bright in here, so maybe we'll use even a brighter color. Poppy red. I am by no means a botanical artist, because a lot of times I just don't want to spend the time doing the detail. You know, you don't have to put botanical art in your nature journal, although a lot of people get pretty fussy. I just want to have a record and remember what I saw. Kind of like when I did this butterfly the other day. I didn't put a lot of details on there because basically I wasn't in the mood to draw a butterfly, but I wanted to put it on the page. So I just did a fast butterfly. Probably spent more time on the mushroom that day. But maybe another day I will do the butterfly over again and put more detail on them. Now this mushroom has gills. You could just see them around the edge. Where the fat bolete doesn't have those gills underneath. It just has these round pores where the spores come out. That's what makes these two quite different. Now I'm going to put a little darker in here, I think. I can always come back and do another layer. And you just take your brush and wet. Sometimes it's best to start with the darker areas and work your way out to the lighter areas, because by the time you get to the lighter areas, you're already going to have some pigment on your brush. You can always rinse it off and then pull the color out. Or start at the light areas and push the color in. So when you dip the tip of the pencil into water, just like you would dip a paintbrush, it's kind of like painting with a pencil. Gotta get a lot of water on there. Which is a lot of fun. But another way to use these is to make a patch, a really dark patch like that, and then take your brush and pull some of that off, because what I wanted was just a little bit of gray to put here. So I didn't want to put the pencil on there, just wanted a little bit of a shadow right there. And a little bit for here. I finished off my page by doing some of the blue iris color, or the iris blue color in the background. And I found some glazed pens that were almost empty, so I decided to use it up, and I made a little squiggle around the edge. And then I wrote all my stories about the squirrels and the tiny toads and the white-headed sparrow. And that's about it. I also used the glazed pen on the little leaf miner trail. The glazed pen, it's hard to see on the camera, but it's a little bit shiny and a little bit of texture to it. So thanks for coming along today. Happy nature journaling. Bye-bye now.